Hey, we want to welcome you guys. I was texting with Katie yesterday and saying, wow, this Epstein stuff, we should really get on and talk some shit. So here we are.
You didn't wait,
Here,
wait. Let me be clear. You guys didn't need me to be around to talk shit. So
well, that's true.
right. Okay, just
No,
want to make sure.
let me tell you something, Katie. You bring the shit level up a whole bunch of notches over the way we usually talk shit. I mean, I'm just
That
telling you.
backhanded compliment.
It's a fact. No, it's a
No, it's
fact. No,
good.
that's a very good compliment,
There
especially
you
when you're
go.
really dealing with shit. So,
Oh, we want to say
yeah.
hi. We have friends from Arkansas. Milo's mom loves Queen Katie from Barbara.
Aw.
Thank you guys. Yeah, we just, like when I have questions about legal things, I always go look first at Katie Phang's Instagram because she's always explaining things in her Wait a Damn Minute series. Janet from Colorado, Kansas. We have so many people joining us. We want to say thank you. But I just wanted to start, Katie, like, wow, a lot has happened the last couple of days over the Epstein files and then this Wall Street Journal report coming out last night about this 50th birthday letter. So, like, what are you watching?
Well, I just want the record to reflect that I am imminently turning 50, as most of my followers know, and I don't want a birthday card like that from either of you. So let everybody be my witness.
Shoot.
I don't need a birthday card like that from either of you. Look, I feel like, and Rissa, this is something that you would understand also astutely. As a journalist, you're not going to want to play the game of chicken on a defamation lawsuit with the president of the United States. Okay. So the fact that the Wall Street Journal ran this piece, and there's a built-in standards, ethics, legal, everything, right? Built into these organizations. So the fact that the Wall Street
Mhm.
Journal said, we believe in the integrity of our reporting, so much so that we're going to run this piece despite the White House running the kind of interference that it's doing, including Caroline Levitt. I think that's a huge, huge red flag for Donald Trump. And I don't think the Wall Street Journal would take this lightly. I mean, I think sometimes their takes are not so great, but they're still kind of, they're still a legacy media publication. And I don't think that they would play fast and loose with this administration, knowing what this administration is capable of. Let's be very blunt, right? I don't think
Well,
that
and
they would do that unless they had something there.
it reminded me of Signalgate when, the administration first said, no, we didn't publish any of this stuff. And the Atlantic said, okay, well, I guess we'll have to release it all. And I've been waiting for that. But Senator Tester has an interesting take on this. Go ahead, Senator. Give us your hot
Well,
take.
Katie, I'm the first to admit that I'm never right all the time. But do you know that the president is the king of the pivot? I mean, he's the king of
Or
talking about something else when things start to pressure. So did it could this be a setup? Could this be a deal where, I mean, he's talking about suing Murdoch, for Christ's sakes. I mean, JD Vance was in Montana visiting Murdoch about 2 weeks ago. That's hard for me to believe. So could it be a situation where, yeah, we're going to run this article. So the article is a story, not the Epstein files, so that we can pivot off of all the information that both the MAGA Republicans and the Democrats and God knows who else out there wants. And we can talk about this goddamn letter that's got a drawing of it on it. And I can claim, if I'm Trump, that I don't draw anything when in fact there's plenty of examples of him drawing stuff. And and we can pivot off of this story, my friend Rupert, and we can talk about me threatening you, which is never going to happen, and we don't have to talk about the Epstein files anymore. Am I have I been drinking too much rotten fruit, or is this a possibility?
have you been drinking too much Olympia? Is that what you're asking me?
Too much Oli, yeah.
Ollie. The problem with that theory, Senator,
Yes.
is this was a birthday card sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Like if you
Yeah.
were trying to pivot off of Epstein, I would
Yeah.
have sent the birthday card to somebody else, right?
Well, I'm not saying it's
Like
birthday
Putin.
card wasn't real. I'm not saying that what was in the story wasn't true. But isn't it nice now that we're not talking about the Epstein files? We're talking about this damn card.
But I
It was
kind of
sent to
think
Epstein.
that I
But I
think it
think
just
the
adds fuel to
Pam
the fire.
Bondi grand jury stuff came after this birthday card Wall Street Journal announcement. So if that was the intention, which I'm sure there was an intention to try to distract and pivot, if that was the intention, then once again, Trump fails miserably in that regard. But I think the irony of all of this has been that we now find ourselves aligned with people that we would never break bread with, people that we, have zero ideological similarities. But they are calling for transparency, which frankly is a nonpartisan thing. Transparency and
But
truth telling is nonpartisan. So the fact
that's
that
right.
we're now with weird bedfellows just goes to show that this file is not going to go away.
But remember this, in politics, your enemy one day is your friend the next. And that's a fact. The person you're fighting like hell with one day is your best friend the next because you agree on something. And that's exactly what's happening here. The folks who, Democrats have been fighting with MAGA folks all of a sudden find themselves on the same page because they both want transparency. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's actually pretty healthy for a democracy. So, you know, here's the thing, Katie, and just tell me, okay, my theory doesn't work. Okay, we'll throw that out. But tell me if there isn't any there, why isn't he releasing it?
Yeah.
Well, because there's something there. And I don't
Bingo.
and I don't know how much deeper it is than what's already been pretty much publicly out there. But there has to be something there. And then I also think it implicates people that are positions of power in business and industry and money donors. I think that that's what's happening. And that's part of the reason why he wants to offer some protection to them as well. But I just think the more that you make a big deal about it, which we should continue to press on and do, I think we should also simultaneously obviously pay attention to them killing, Elmo and stuff. Like that stuff is important too. But
Right.
I'm willing to ride this horse. Trust me. I'm willing to do this as long as it takes because I feel like this speaks not just to the inherent disgust I have for the charged crimes, for the trafficking, for the pedophilia, for the victimization of people. We should also remember the victims that actually, were at the
Right.
hands of Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others. But it speaks to us being able to finally pierce what previously seemed to just be stupidly not penetrable, which is that bizarre MAGA bubble where they live in this conspiracy theory land that is beautiful for them. And now they're realizing, like Nick Fuentes, again, the fact that I'm even citing him in a conversation is galling. But Nick Fuentes tweeted out that it's the biggest scam, that MAGA, we will look back at this time and realize that MAGA is the biggest scam there ever was.
What a departure for him. I mean, that whole video, the whole rant, what a departure. And not just him, all kinds of other people. So I think what's fascinating watching this is that all of the tactics that they've previously used to like kill something or deflect or pivot, that's not working this time around. It's not working. And so what is it about this story? I'm curious what they're saying in Florida, Katie.
Well, we've been living Epstein for a lot longer than y'all have because Epstein for us is decades ago. Epstein was a state court prosecution.
Right.
That was that sweetheart deal. And that was during the Alex Acosta time. Remember him, the labor secretary guy? He was the interim U.S. attorney during that whole sweetheart deal. And that was a Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office deal that ended up resulting in him doing his, quote unquote, sentence while he was hanging out in some fancy office and he was able to come and go as he pleases. We've been dealing with Epstein for a long time. The civil litigation against Epstein, et cetera, that was all down here in Florida. So for us, Epstein has kind of lived large, but we've also kind of been watching the fact that for something that was literally an international ring, it's remarkable that only 2 people have ever been criminally prosecuted for it. One who's now dead under suspicious circumstances, which is a whole other cup of tea with Pamela Joe and her freaking manipulated video. But also with Ghislaine Maxwell, who I'm like, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've been saying this on every freaking social media thing I've been doing. That woman needs protective custody right now. She's literally the only person who has that firsthand damn ass knowledge that people really want.
And you brought up something too. Was it in the indictment that it's not just that she aided Epstein; it's that Epstein and others, Epstein and others.
The language of the indictment says "and others" repeatedly, and others. So who are the others?
Well,
we all like to know.
And like obviously somebody's lying. If in one Fox News appearance, the AG says the list is on my desk, and then later the list just doesn't exist. But the indictment, like you said, says and others. So how are they going to try to talk their way out of this one?
They're not. I mean, they can't. They like right now that you have, Bondi claiming that she's going to ask a federal judge. And by the way, and so that actually does kind of dovetail what you said, Senator. So Pamela Joe now saying that she's going to ask a federal judge to unseal grand jury records is not really doing us any favors, right? One, that's a very long process, if at all. There is a grand jury proceedings are cloaked in a level of confidentiality and secrecy that is very hard to pierce. And that's not really what people want, because grand jury proceedings are the prosecutors parading certain people, hearsay's allowed, right? It just, that saying, you can indict a ham sandwich? I don't need that. Please, please, please. I don't need that. I need the FBI files. I need the other records that were a part of these multiple federal investigations and state investigations, right? There was a push to unseal the state grand jury records a few years ago, and the state attorney was objecting to it then. I mean, I get it. Listen, you can redact to protect the identities of the victims and of vulnerables. Do it. But the rest of it, don't redact. And I don't
That's
need to
right.
see the salacious videos. Just give me some of the records so that we can all come to our own conclusions as to who has guilt and innocence in this.
There's 2 points here that I want to say. First of all, on the grand jury stuff, it's a long time, and then who he can blame? He can blame the courts.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to tell you. Yeah, it's the courts' fault. Those damn
The
courts.
judge, that dumb judge, wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Exactly right. And then the second thing I would say is I think the president is very proud of transparency. And this goes 180 degrees against the claims that he's a transparent president, because he's not. And so we'll go back to number one. You can talk about opening grand jury documents and you can talk about all sorts of shit. But the truth is, this is all easily solved if you do exactly what you just said, Katie. Redact the names, protect the innocent, and release the file.
Oh, I mean, he continues to go on that this is a hoax. He continues to go on and say that the Wall Street Journal's story is fake news. I mean, I'm with you, Katie. I cannot imagine the Wall Street Journal editorial board saying, yeah, go publish this, even though this birthday letter doesn't exist. I just think it's all, I think it's going to continue to get more explosive over the weekend.
Yeah, and what's crazy is nobody advising them on crisis comms? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the worst way to handle a crisis. Like, I used to do crisis comms, right? Like, and I'm still doing it now. Like, why would you possibly think that your effective pivot on this is to say that it was now totally fake news hoax that was generated by a Democratic administration, when the reality is you now have care, custody, and control in every sense, in a legal sense and an evidentiary sense. You have care, custody, and control of the records at issue. It's not like I can call Joe and be like, Joe, can I swing by Wilmington to get these records? Come on. Like, these are with this administration. They're the only people that are standing in the way. And I think what we need to do in the media and otherwise is we need to make it clear it's not Bondi who's gatekeeping. It is not Pamela Joe. It is Donald Trump. He is the one who is gatekeeping access. It is not her. It's not Caroline Levitt. It's not even Stephen Miller. And we all know that motherfucker runs everything. It is Donald Trump who's standing in the way of the American people seeing what's out there. And look, if it's a nothing burger, which it can't possibly be because of the gravity of these crimes and the severity of what happened in this case, but if there's nothing new, then why wouldn't you put it out there because it's old news?
Exactly the point. Exactly the point.
2 legal questions for you. First of all, if he does sue Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal and whoever else he's threatening to sue, I mean, isn't the burden of proof on him to prove that this is fake? Like,
oh yeah, and we all love my favorite word, discovery. So assuming arguendo, he sues the Wall Street Journal, then they will move to dismiss and they likely will win. But let's just say that they lose the motion to dismiss. Once again, Trump bites his own self in the ass. Because when you do this, like he's done this against Michael Cohen, he's done this against several other people, right? He gets pissy, he sues, and then right on the eve of being deposed or right on the eve of some massive like moment in this litigation, he'll withdraw his lawsuit without prejudice. So in this instance, you want to sue Rupert Murdoch. I mean, that guy's got some bucks still. You're going to sue him and the Wall Street Journal, and then you're going to go through the discovery process? I would love to take your deposition, convicted felon Donald Trump, on this issue of whether or not you and Jeffrey Epstein were buddy enough to be able to send a birthday card. Please. Like, that's like a dream. So these types of threats are so empty. Like, it's dumb. And yet,
Okay, so let's say he goes through with it, he sues, and it's not a conspiracy to pivot like Senator Tester's theory suggests. What happens on Fox News? What will we see Rupert Murdoch do and instruct on, in his media outlets?
Well, that's such a good question, because in reality, he really, as in Murdoch, should make sure that whatever is being put on Fox News is consistent with his legal theories and is consistent with his legal arguments that he's advancing. So if the truth is the defense to the defamation and is an absolute defense to any allegation of slander or otherwise, then the truth shall set you free, Fox News. Then you just stick in the land of truth. But isn't it also... I don't know if I think I on my Substack I interviewed this amazing woman named Juliet Jeske. Her moniker is Decoding Fox News, and she sleeps at the foot of the cross because this woman watches hours of Fox News all day long and all night long, so we don't have to. And then she debunks the lies that are coming out. And she says that she was watching the other day, and like during the Five or Jesse Waters or something, they said Biden's name like 90 times and Epstein didn't come up like once. So right now they're being uber careful, I think, at the mothership of Fox News. But we've seen Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Laura Loomer, Charlie Kirk, although Charlie Kirk lost his nuts recently and said, I'm not going to go there anymore because Trump told me, which was also an amazing feat, because the way that Kirk phrased it, he's like, well, after Trump called me, I'm not talking about it anymore. Well, okay, because Trump called you, right? So once again, Trump is like the puppeteer, right? He's controlling everybody. And that's what everybody needs to be reminded. All of this is Trump. This is all Trump. This is not a judge. This is not the DOJ. This is not a civil litigant who doesn't want her name out there or whatever. This is all Donald Trump.
Okay, so my second legal question is about the grand jury testimony that could be released, right? I mean, the key word that I saw in his Truth Social post was pertinent information to be released. So A, who decides what's pertinent? And B, what does that do to Ghislaine Maxwell's pending appeal if they release anything out of this?
So sorry for you, Donald Trump, but you don't get to be the arbiter of what the word pertinent means. And by the way, it's not really the legal standard, right? But this is the true bait and switch, though, for the American people. Like, oh, if I'm going to ask for these grand jury records, well, they're really hard to get, right? And there's a reason why they're cloaked in secrecy and confidentiality. So it's not going to be easy to get. And to the senator's point, he can just punt and say, well, it's not my fault anymore. I asked for that. Well, no, you could release the other stuff that doesn't require a judge to sit there and say that it's going to be released. But Ghislaine Maxwell, she's fascinating right now because she is appealing to the Supreme Court her conviction and sentence. And the Department of Justice tried to and delayed on at least 2 occasions responding to her briefs. And then when they did, they actually opposed any relief she was seeking. So they are now technically in opposition and on the other side of this litigation with Ghislaine Maxwell. But I'm going to speak always very frankly, as a lawyer, if there was a deal to be cut, you would think Ghislaine Maxwell would have cut that deal by now before she was sentenced to federal prison because she's been in there for a while now. But I also say, though, there could be self-preservation in the literal of senses. Maybe she doesn't want to talk about what she knows and who she knows. Because remember, she got indicted after Epstein died.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a million reasons and only she knows, which is the reason why I say that she should be in protective custody.
Senator, you have anything?
You like that, right? Wink, wink.
Now you know the rest of the story. Although I just think this is really, really bizarre because his base expects him to release the information. You've already talked about the people that he's peeled off that have all of a sudden lost their balls, and now he still isn't going to release it because I think you're absolutely right. I think it's to protect his donors, quite frankly. I think there's a lot of folks on there that are big, big, big Trump supporters that he wants to keep, you know, keep 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 innocent. Let's put it that way. When they're not innocent at all. I just, I mean, look, uh, he claims to be transparent. He's not. He gets on TV all the time and says one thing and does another. And this is just another prime example of that. Only this time, he's pissed off his base, and I think that's what makes it a difference.
And the other thing that I won't say enjoyed watching because it drives me crazy when people try to lie about dates and timelines, but this constant pushback to, Obama or Hillary or Biden when Epstein was indicted and prosecuted while Trump was in office.
Yep.
Under his DOJ.
Yep, 2019, 2018. Look, what's also fascinating is this. This is what it has taken to, again, pierce that ecosystem of MAGA world, that bubble of conspiracy theory.
Mhm.
Like, this is what it took. It's not you're losing your Medicaid, right? It's not you're losing your SNAP benefits. It's not your hospitals are being shut down. It's not any of that. It's not Doge now has access to all of your Social Security information, right? That's not it. That does not trigger you, but this Epstein file triggers you. And I
Mhm.
think if there's any kind of silver lining to this, it's the scales have fallen from their eyes, maybe. Maybe they're realizing that there is more than a little bit of bullshit that comes from dealing with somebody like Donald Trump. But how do we convert on this, right? If you're a Democrat, how do you convert on this? One, you keep on pushing into the public discourse the existence of this Epstein file. But two, I think we have to figure out a way of kind of reading the tea leaves and maybe doing a little bit of a postmortem on this to say, well, why? Like, why is this resonating? Because it's not like I feel like MAGA is like some warriors for justice. Get the hell out of here. They're the January 6th people. So why are they so just bent, out of shape about this? Why do they feel so betrayed, like the senator says? Like, why do they feel like they've been left out to dry on this of all issues? That I'm trying to figure out.
Uh-huh. I asked Michael Cohen the same thing the other day. Like, out of all the things, like you just mentioned, all the things that have happened, in this term so far, and this is the thing that they're going to hold to. So, what else might be right in front of our faces that we're not even considering? Because I did not out of all the years that Donald Trump's been in power, I've said a lot of times, like, "Oh, this might get people to turn on him," and I've quit saying that, but I really think like this is showing something different, something we haven't seen. I think.
I don't know. Senator, what do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely got legs like no other issue that's out there's got legs. I still think that that you're dealing with Trump, who's been a master of pivoting, and he's going to pivot every direction, and fingers will be pointed everywhere but himself. And if his base holds him accountable, I think the information is going to get released. If the base folds, like some in the base already have, and quit talking about it, then I think it'll allow him to escape without any impacts. But bottom line is, it don't pass the smell test. There's no doubt about it, and I think most people understand that. And I think Trump is trying to devalue everything about it But the truth is, there's something there. And then if you add in the fact that when he first got into office, he released the Kennedy files and the Martin Luther King files right out of the chute for transparency reasons. Thought the people should know. Most of the people that were alive when Kennedy got shot are dead, by the way. I was like 7 years old when that happened, and I'm getting old. So what the hell? I mean, all these people are still alive when Epstein happened. So release the information. Let the people that saw what happened back 15 years ago know what happened.
I do feel for the victims too, because this is just all anybody's talking about. It's got to be traumatizing and just incredibly hard. But Katie, I did want to ask you one other thing about the timing of the White House talking about this new vein issue that's causing swelling in his ankles. Do you think that the timing is any kind of coincidence that they release that now in the middle of all this? Oh, and that Coca-Cola is going to use real sugar now.
I mean, have y'all had Mexican Coke though? And I don't mean
Yeah.
I don't mean the white kinds. I'm talking like the soda because it's so good. When I
It
have
is
my
so good.
Mexican, I have Mexican Coke. Um, you know, the stupidity of the health stuff is one, we see it with our own eyes. He looks unhealthy. And I mean, we could have probably made an educated guess that it had to do with the circulation because he's got like tree trunks going on down there and ankles. But the thing that I don't get is how is this supposed to be distracting me in any way? It just actually underscores that this old man with his bad health doesn't want people to learn more bad shit about him. That's it. That's the narrative, right? That's the truth. And what's crazy about that is how come I still don't get your medical records about your ear in that assassination attempt alleged a year ago? Where's those medical records? Where's those investigative files? How about letting me
Mhm.
know what happened there? Why are we not
Mhm.
having a congressional hearing about that? Let's convene a congressional hearing about Donald Trump's health. I'm all for that. You know, you want to drag Joe Biden's physical physician, his personal physician, in to talk about Joe Biden? Let's talk about Donald Trump's still intact ear. I mean, this is why he is the master of just stupidity and listen, I think we can walk and chew gum, though. I say this all the time. I'm perfectly capable of walking and chew gum. I can focus on all the stupidity and all the stuff that's important. And I feel like it's a divide and conquer thing. I think if we just make sure that we keep on keeping our foot on the gas, we're going to get a lot faster to where we need to be.
All right.
It's all
We
good.
did. Okay, wait, one more because I did see somebody write
Go
something in
ahead.
the comments.
Yeah.
Katie, she always has more questions.
Sorry, always. Katie gets it. She always has more questions too, I bet.
It's all good.
So I heard somebody last night on one of the networks talk about this, and somebody just brought it up here. But this idea that JD Vance is moving in and strategically kind of getting ready to move in with his tweet, basically calling for the Wall Street Journal to show us the letter if it exists. Like, why would he say show us the letter? I mean, we know the letter exists, right? The Wall Street Journal is not going to publish a whole thing on a fake letter that they've never seen. So he's like goading them on to show us the letter. Okay, then what?
What is that old adage? With friends like these, who needs enemies?
Yeah, like Senator Tester and Cory Booker, right?
Boy, no shit. That's a fact. So, so then what do they do when they show them the letter?
Now we have a visual. I mean, it's like it's going to be consistent with what they printed. It's not like they're going to be printing something
Right.
that's not consistent with the actual thing.
Well, and we know that he draws pictures because remember that hurricane projection on that map when he drew with the Sharpie?
He's a known doodler. I didn't say the other word. I said doodler.
Yeah, doodler.
I didn't say the other word. One, but two, it's like your defense is I only use Sharpie, so it couldn't be me. I just they make fine tip Sharpies. I don't know if this man realizes that too. They don't have to be the big thick Sharpies. But JD Vance is such a curious little man. Did you guys see him running at Disneyland the other day? Did you clock his run? It was like a little Josh Hawley-esque. It was
Did
a
see
little
that.
Ron DeSantis in his go-go boots kind of energy. Like that run by JD Vance was a special run.
Also, the fact that he went to Disneyland as a sitting vice president. I mean, I'm a Disney adult. I can't imagine how many families like had their vacations disrupted because of that. That's a whole
Yeah,
separate thing.
but you
Like
gotta
paid
love
good
that.
money.
You gotta love the Newsom shade. He's like, hope you had a good time, Vice President, while the country is burning right to the
Right.
ground and you're destroying this country. Go have a good time. And do not get me started about the wife. The Usha Vance stuff. I could speak for hours about my disgust about her. But the thing about JD Vance is I always worry about him because under the Constitution, if something happens to Trump, he gets it automatically. It doesn't require congressional approval. It doesn't require the courts to sit there. By definition, within the United States Constitution, if Trump is out, he's in. One. Two, Vance is infinitely smarter in every sense than Donald Trump. The thing that gives me the ability to sleep at night is Vance doesn't have that cult-like quality, though. Vance can't carry that like Trump can. Now, is Vance smart enough to kind of pick up on some social cues and maybe kind of like, mimic? Sure. But the thing that is bizarre about Trump that I figured out is a thing that I actually call for all the time, which is authenticity. I think if you're authentic and you bring your full authentic self in anything that you do, people will trust you. And even though Trump is a disgusting excuse for a human being, he is authentically disgusting. And so he can comfortably say, well, there's no artifice here. I am what I am, which resonates with a lot of people. The thing about Vance is you don't really know what he is. He is the worst kind of chameleon politically, right? And so it's like, I think with Vance, I'm sure he's always angling. You and I both know he was thrilled when that medical report came out about the Kangals, right? You and I both know he was so excited about that. He's like, let's make him walk a little bit more around the Oval Office, So, President Trump, don't you want to get your steps in? Check your app out. Let's see what your steps are like
He's
today,
going to take
sir.
him to Disneyland to run on Tom Sawyer Island. Yeah.
That's the most bizarre visual is Donald Trump at Disneyland.
Running.
I don't think he could fit into some of those rides.
For
but
sure.
I don't think he could. But anyway, but I do think the Vance thing is always going to be, he's always angling for more. But I don't think he has a chance in 28. So I think he's a non-factor.
All right. Well, we broke a lot down. Did I miss anything, Katie? Anything that's keeping you up on this Epstein thing? Oh, Tester's phone's ringing. He has a landline.
I was going to say the red phone, the big red phones.
It is absolutely the red phone, and I'm going to have to find out who called me on the red phone, but they're going to have to wait.
You don't have caller ID?
Yeah, but I hung up so fast I didn't check and see who it was. So
listen, there's always something going on, but I love hanging out with you guys. So thank you for the privilege, and thanks to everybody who's been tuning in. I always appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it's fun. We love chatting with you, Katie, and thank you, to everyone who tuned in today. And if you are some of our followers, go check out Katie Phang's Substack, and we would love for you to check out our Substack. And we'll keep having these chats because I don't think we're running out of news anytime soon.
We are not.
That is for sure. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.